I want to do something that is pretty much a reference to a streamer or content creator that I really enjoy watching, and that is Rate the Super. Rate the Super is typical of Maximillian Dood's type of content, where he will take supers from a roster of characters like Street Fighter, Tekken, Marvel vs. Capcom, and it will then rate all of them. I kinda want to do the same with Kingdom Hearts Days, just for fun, for the sake of why not. So I organized a video that is currently not listed, and we're gonna go through the entirety of all the limits, and then we're gonna rate all of them. So let's start Xemnas.
You're an eyesore.
Oh wow, okay. Okay, I don't know how much damage it does, since this enemy is very annoying, but it does a little bit of damage, even just as a ball. I don't know how to rate this, honestly. I feel like Xemnas has a lot of potential in general, considering we know what he can do in Kingdom Hearts 2. But here, he just does ball and then big beam. It's not bad. I think I'm gonna give it a 5. There is so much potential, this is not enough, in my opinion. Could be better. I think 5 is fine. Okay, we got Zigbar. Okay, he goes in third-person shooter mode. He's very cool. Does decent damage.
You had your fun?
Big AoE explosions as well. They go kinda far as well. I think this one is fine. Zigbar ass. I think it could be maybe better if it was similar to the barrage he does in KH2. But I think this one makes it a little bit more original and probably even more fun creative-wise. I also think it's not great because of it's a bit too static. But I still think it's just more creative and fun to use than Xemnas's. So I think I'm gonna rate this a 7. It's fun, creative, does a lot of damage, keeps you away from danger, especially multiplayer. 7 is fine. So Zaldin. Big AoE around him, that's a lot of damage. Okay, he can jump around apparently. Has a ball of damage around him, kinda like Aero, but using the spears, which is kinda cool. And he does a shitload of damage with every hit. The only thing it's kind of lacking is movement, but since he doesn't need to be stationary to use it, and also has that aura around him, I think this one might be one of the best limits in the entirety of the game, and I'm inclined to give it a 9 out of 10. As damage around him, it protects him. A lot of characters are weak or like vulnerable whenever they do the limits, so I think having a area around him that would actually help him and defend him, it's great. It's a callback to Kingdom Hearts 2. And even the last plunging attack it does at the end is also a reference to KH2. And it does a huge amount of AoE damage all around him. I think this is a solid 9. It's cool looking, it's very useful, it has defensive capabilities. I think this is one of the best ultimates in the game. Vexen. Okay, a lot of ice damage. Big icicle at the end. Yeah, I don't think it's bad, but I also don't think it's great. I think it's fine for what it is. Probably a bit weak, though. Yeah, I think it's weak. It's not creative. It's kind of boring. I give it a 3. It just creates icicle, 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 and then big icicle. Yeah, 3. It's bad. See, Lexius. I was confused when I was recording this, by the way, because I didn't realize how Lexius' limit actually works. I thought it was just this. But then I realized, after I ran out of time, it's like, wait, maybe I need to hold? And that was the answer. It creates big rock. Like, it does stronger spin in phase 1, which is okay. But then it does huge monolith kind of thing, smacking the enemies with. And I feel like this is wasted potential. Like, Lexius himself doesn't do anything similar to this in, I think, all of his normal combos. But he does lift the entirety of the floor whenever you play against him in Kingdom Hearts 2. I think this is another example of wasted potential, just like Xemnas. This is, in my opinion, is boring to use. It's a nice hit at the end in the second phase of the limit, but there could be so much more that will make you feel even more powerful. I don't even need to think too much about it to imagine something cooler. So I think this is just wasted potential, and it goes down to like probably a 3, just like Vexen. Kinda bad. It's not great. I don't even see it good for crowd controlling or anything. You have to be stationary, you have to channel it. It doesn't give any satisfaction. It's just a bit meh. Zexion.
You brought it upon yourself.
Big dark bombardment. Bigger bombardment. It didn't hit the enemy once. Now it did hit. It did hit for a lot of damage. Look at that.
You brought it upon yourself.
Okay, I'm doing it again. Turn the other way though. Whenever it hits a lot. But there can be moments where it just doesn't want to hit. And that is the main issue with this. I feel like this has the potential to be one of the strongest spells in the game. But since it doesn't target the enemies close to you, it falls extremely short and kinda loses the purpose. I'm inclined to say this is like a 4. It's cool looking, it's great for huge amount of enemies and big enemies, but you will never be able to hit specific targets like Solid Armor or any of the anti-bosses, or Shion even. Maybe Shion is kinda big, so he probably could be useful in the last phase specifically. Let's say it's okay at best. I think I said 4 earlier, I'm gonna move it at 5, just because it has actually a lot of damage. A huge amount of damage. If it hits hard, but it's very likely it won't hit. And we got Sayex, the lawn mower, whatever. AoE, a lot of movement, a lot of damage itself. Look at this. This is great, because Sayex is a physical fighter. And then, this is him hitting a weak spot of an enemy with the limit break. This move has mobility, damage, AoE, and pretty much makes you safe for if you know how to control it. Because this thing can be controlled and it's not that hard to use. I think this one is potentially a 10 out of 10. Sayex's limit is the strongest limit in the entirety of the game. It's a bit situational, again, because this damage is done to the weak spot of the enemy. But the whole thing is that he has everything every other character wishes it had. So I think it's fair to give it a 10 out of 10. One of the best ultimates in the game. Axel against the Orcus.
Say I didn't warn you.
Okay. Ranged AoE explosions. Decent damage. This is mission mode, by the way.
Say I didn't warn you.
This is a decent amount of AoE damage.
I didn't warn you.
And it's kinda cool as well to use. The last explosion is very big and does a lot of damage. But it kinda ends there. It's not really cool or anything. It's not creative. One thing they could have done would have been like phase 2, he runs around creating pillars of fire like he does in Cage 2. That would have been nice. It's kinda limited here. Has range, so keeps you safe. Has a lot of damage, especially against fire vulnerable enemies. I think this potentially is a 6. It's a bit boring though. But the style of Axel compared to the style of Vexen, they are very similar, is that Axel has like a bigger AoE damage and range compared to Vexen. Okay, we got Demix.
Pipe down and listen.
Okay, Dance Water Dance. And I figured out this one is a rhythm-based ultimate. You need to go with the rhythm, and the better you play, the stronger the spell gets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then explosion. This is a ultimate that rewards skill a lot. Look at that damage. This, also mechanically, I think it's on par with Xigbar. I think this is like a 7. It's cool, has its own gimmick that is fun to use, has a lot of damage if performed correctly. It doesn't make you stationary like you need to with Lexius, for example. I think this is a fair ultimate. I think this is a 7. 7 out of 10. It's fun, it's good, does damage if performed correctly. Luxord. Luxord has a gimmick with the cards.
Even up the deck.
This is the first one. I did a mistake here. This is what happens in the limit in second phase. one shot. This is a gimmick that makes him stay way too stationary, unfortunately. I think it's kind of protected when he does this. But the damage it does... Albeit these guys are weak to magic damage. And this is probably magic damage in general. But the amount of damage you pull off with this is sick because it's risk and reward, which is perfectly fitting for Luxord. And you do so much damage with the entirety of this special. So I think it's worth something like 7 as well. I think it fits with the character. It's fun to use. The reroll of the icons on the cards is always the same. So you can memorize the icons and stuff, and it should be fine. Plus, it does a huge amount of damage. I think, used as a off character, this does bonkers damage. Like as a secondary character in a team. Marluxia. Channel, I think. And then you can release it to deal a fairly high amount of damage. I couldn't land it here, though, because the guy was flying around. Look at that. It was so high up. It actually still got damaged. Phase 2 teleports on the enemy and attacks. And does huge AoE damage. That is a huge area, which makes him great for Hordes. Super fun to use as well. But unfortunately, I kind of missed a lot of times there. I think for the amount of damage you do and the channeling you take, plus how cool it is, I still think it's like a 6. He literally just wings the site around them a couple of times. It's okay. It's okay compared to the others. It's not as creative. It could have been a little bit more, in my opinion. But it's not bad. Does a lot of damage, has utility against hordes. He just has too much commitment. Like, if you do it at the wrong time, you're done, unfortunately. Okay, we got Laxine. Very quick flurry of attacks that does decent damage. And then, Pikachu mode. Like, the normal combo does normal damage, but when she bolts forward, she does an insane amount of damage. And has a lot of range and mobility. I think this, if it wasn't as weak like the first part, which I think is used mostly for just stun locking enemies, small enemies, this could potentially be a 9 for how cool this is. I think it kind of falls down to a 7 because it lacks damage on the first part of the ultimate. You will never use her limit unless you have the second part of the limit, but it's still very cool. Okay, we have Xion. Xion has the same ultimate as Roxas because they share the same moveset.
I won't give in.
We've seen this multiple times. This one has mobility, has a lot of damage, doesn't require too much commitment, and does a lot of hits. And the last part of the limit also has these projectiles that go around and may damage enemies if they hit. I still think it's not great. It's cool to see for the few times. Then it kind of falls short compared to what the others can do. So I think this one might go in the 7 category as well. It doesn't require too much commitment, has the potential to do a lot of damage, and it's fun. But I think it's just 7. It's just 7. It's okay. Okay, we got Hooded Roxas, or like dual wielding Roxas. Beams! Kinda missed all around him. This one does a shitload of damage, but has the big issue, it has close to no range. With hordes of enemies, this is the same problem that Zexion has. I think this is on par with Zexion, but it's just a little bit cooler. So I think this is just, could be like a 6. It's not great, it's okay, and does a lot of damage, but... See, I used the entirety of the limit here, and I didn't hit him once, because it was barely out of range. So I think this goes into the 6 category. If I'm not looking at the enemy, I can't hit him. This is 6. Has the same issues as Zexion's, unfortunately, because it's very cool. Using the Roxas is amazing, super fun. The limit is less useful than the other one, but it does a lot more damage. So it kinda compensates, but it's still like 6. It's okay. Okay, Riku. Okay, dashes forward, does a lot of damage, hits multiple times, and then has a flurry of attacks at the end, in the second phase. I feel like this is great for pushing enemies in the corners, and then finish them with a combo. This one I think it's also a 10 out of 10. Has a lot of movement, has a lot of damage, and if controlled correctly, you can just move the enemy whenever you want them to be, to finish them accordingly with the final hits. It does a shitload amount of damage. This is probably one of the best limits in the game. So I think this is also, along with Sykes, 10 out of 10. Great ultimate. We got Donald. Donald in this game uses Fantasia at the end. And it does a decent amount of magic damage at enemies around him. But I don't think it's great for a very simple reason. I don't think it's great because it lacks range. He needs to be super close to every single enemy as a caster to properly deal damage, actually exposing him. And I even think the particles are not that fun. I think this is a 4. He is stationary, has to channel it pretty much, and deal damage to enemies around him, which as a caster, it should be in the back, staying away from the enemies. So yeah, I think this is just a 4. Donald's kinda suck. It's not great. See, I lost all my HP here, because I had to be close to the enemy. This is bad. Goofy has the same issue as Lexaeus. He needs to charge it, and then he charges the opponents. And he does a lot of damage when he hits. And the final charged version sends him flying so far away as well. I would place it in 6, because after the channeling, he actually just has a lot of movement. So he can actually also use it to just run away if the player sees is in danger. He can just charge it and bolt away while they are committing to the attack, so they can save themselves. I think it's fun. It has potential to be a lot of fun. It's an okay gimmick. It does decent damage. Can save you in case you need to, but it doesn't have like AoE. It doesn't have anything. It could have been Pippo Tornado spinning around, just dealing a shitload of damage. Pippo. Goofy. Pippo is Goofy in Italian. Now you know. Rocket Goofy. Now you know. I think it's fine. I think it's okay. I think 6 is fine. Then we got Mickey. We've seen it earlier while we were playing the game. Mickey has the same issue as Lexaeus, but he has he has more, like, quicker attacks at least. He can charge one beam to deal damage, deal a lot of damage, and then he can charge a huge AoE to deal even more damage in a bigger area in second phase. And I think this is not bad, because the channeling doesn't take too long, and after he casts it, he can just run away already. Well, Lexaeus has more commitment to it. So I think this one is also like a 6. It's good enough, and it's fun to use even because Mickey is way quicker. So the gimmick kinda counters his own playstyle, but if used correctly, he's like a glass cannon. He can work as a glass cannon and deal so much damage. 6 is also fine. And then we have, according to myself, the worst limit in the entire game. Could have been Sliding Dash, but we got Ragnarok. But not a good version of Ragnarok. You need to release it at the right time, kind of like in KH1, which is okay. It's kind of hard to make it work properly. It can do a lot of damage on singular targets, but the last hit is a huge projectile that goes forward, instead of being a lot of projectiles going homing around. I missed my projectile here a couple of times because the enemies were flying. Maybe it's my fault. I think this is literally the worst ultimate in the entirety of the game. Projectiles don't do much damage. The final hit of the second part of the limit is kind of lackluster because it does hit from far away, but it doesn't do much damage either. And it's just inferior to so many other alternatives that make me want to place it at literally 2 out of 10. It's cool that it's a reference. It's cool that it's kind of different from the reference, but it is lackluster, and most importantly, it's weak. So I think Sora gets the lowest ranking in the entirety of the game. Looking back at all the characters we've gone through, I think Saïx had the best, like literally even better than Riku, has the best ultimate in the entirety of the game. He is literally one of the beefiest characters in the game, with the highest critical rate and crit bonus, and high strength, along with decent attack speed. If you build a full physical build, and you do your limit with either Saïx or Riku, you're almost guaranteed you're gonna melt whatever stands in your way. Destroy everything you have in your face for how much damage you do. The Xemnas also can deal a lot of damage, but it has not the mobility that the other two have. It has not the creativity of Xigbar, for example. It has not the defense capabilities of Zaldin, and Zaldin also can do a lot of physical damage. And even Laxine also was pretty good. I'm sorry that Sora's is the worst one in the game, along with Donald's and Vexen's. I mean, I don't really care about Vexen, but I do care about Sora and Donald. I think, especially for Donald, like being a magic caster, but being forced to be close to the enemies in order to deal damage, along with Vexen has the same issue, kinda kills the purpose of being a caster. Some were very good with potential, Zixion and Roxas in hooded form. Those were very cool and had potential to be some of the strongest spells in the game, but it really depends on the enemy you're facing, and that makes it very situational, along with Axel and Vexen's ultimate, which are elemental. The game has very good ultimates in general that work well in different situations, which is like a good idea because you can vary depending on the objective, you can vary your setup. But the developers kinda ignored the fun fact with some of these and kinda ruined the potential the character has if compared to other characters. Lexius is kinda ruined, Donald is kinda ruined, Sora is kinda ruined. I dare say Xemnas could have been even better, but kinda lacks there as well. And it's a huge shame in my opinion. And that's why we need a remake, Square Enix. Remake this game. Millions have been asking for a remake. Remake this game, Square. Please remake this game.